group of people inviting to all that is good, which is Islam. So from ulama, what they explain, when Allah says a group of you, that doesn't mean the whole ummah has to give da'wah. It doesn't. What it means, that there has to be a set group of people in every community, they're maintaining the da'wah. That's why the da'wah is fard kifaya. What does that mean? That you guys know what fard kifaya is, right? So for the people that don't know, fard kifaya is if in the community someone dies, if no one shows up to their janazah, the whole Muslim community is at sin. So somebody has to go, even if it's 5 people. In the same way, there has to be some people giving da'wah in every community. Now how much is that sum? Based on how many people? How many people in London? How many people in London? Non-Muslims. 500,000. So if we had to have one-on-one conversation for 500,000 people, how many du'ats do we need? Is 2 okay? How about 3? How about 5? 10? How about 10? So you guys are understanding that we need lots of people to give da'wah. The point I'm trying to say from here, the da'wah is fard kifaya for people that are in the Muslim community, but there has to be a group of people. And those people are you. That Allah chose you from all the people in London for you to be here. For you now, da'wah is not fard kifaya, it's fard ain. Why? Anything you take on as knowledge, if you don't give it to someone else, guess what happens? It becomes evidence against you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Allah will hold you responsible that you went and you learned da'wah and you didn't teach it to others. Or you didn't convey the message. So for some of us, it's fard ain. But here's the point. That does not mean the Muslim ummah just has to sit around and do nothing. Oh, okay, we got 30 brothers from LMM giving da'wah, now we do nothing. No. Every person in the community has to help with the da'wah in some way. Whether they're printing material, whether they're doing networking, whether they're doing IT, whether they're doing admin work, whether they're distributing Qurans, whether they're picking up and making food. It doesn't matter how you help and support, whether you're funding the da'wah. Doesn't matter. If you're a businessman and you have lots of money, your responsibility is to fund the da'wah. If you're a masjid, your job is to promote the da'wah. You know, last week I was listening, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, it was a book, mashallah, the Shaykh was reading. He said that any masjid that's not giving da'wah in any community, the masjid will become a hujjah on the day of judgment. Wallahi, I was shocked. The masjid will come against the people that are running the masjid. That you had a masjid, but you were not giving da'wah. It will become a witness against them for not doing what they were supposed to do. It's very scary. So for you brothers and sisters, you have to learn da'wah and you can't back out. It's not part of Islam that you know something and you don't do it. If you know it, you have to teach it. You are a teacher, not a preacher. There's a difference. What's the difference between a preacher and a teacher? What's the difference between a preacher, like a Christian missionary? Jesus loves you, Jesus died for your sin, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word became God, and Jesus loves you, and you're going to go to hell. What is that called? Preaching. So what's the difference between preaching and teaching? Yeah. Excellent. All of us, as Muslims, are edifiers. Edifier basically means educators. Each one of you are not just preachers. I want to ask you a question. You guys are here in this class because you're hoping to benefit something here, right? That's why you're here. Otherwise, it's not my pretty face or my ugly face or my fat stomach you're here to see. Yeah? You're here because you're going to benefit something today. Yes? In the same way, brothers, if you're giving dawah, if you're not benefiting the people, they don't want to hear what you have to say. Wallahi, they don't. If you think you're just going to go out there and talk at people, they don't care. I have, last week, every Wednesday I go to Dundas Square just to keep my dawah in sharp tools as well, right? This brother comes, tall brother. I don't know if he's Iranian or Arab, I can't remember what he is. First time I went, he met me, very humble guy. Wallahi, he was like, you know, I don't like the way people are speaking with you guys. You guys are so nice people, and I don't know why these Christians, they come and argue and debate and yell at you. And I said, brother, we deal with this all this. I want to ask you a question. Are you saving yourself? You can't save others if you can't save yourself. Do you know why you're here? What's the purpose? Anyway, first time, mashallah, he kind of let me go and not really kind of engage. The next time he came, same thing. Oh, you know, these people, there's the way they... I said, brother, every time you come, you want to come and defend. He's a big guy, like this big. You want to defend us. This is great. May Allah bless you. He's like our Sheikh Jamali. He's as tall as Sheikh Jamali, mashallah. May Allah bless him. So the point, I said, it's great that you come in and defend us. I appreciate that. But you see, I don't know if you know, I have kickboxers with me here. I have MMA martial arts. We don't need your support that way. We need you to understand Islam. He left again. The third time, which is this Wednesday gone, came, and I started speaking to him. I have it recorded, by the way. Inshallah, sooner or later, we'll release it. When I started explaining Islam to him, because he said, oh, I want to learn different religions, I want to learn Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, and all this. When I started explaining Islam to him, he's like, oh, this is amazing. For the first time, when he actually listened, it made sense to him. He started to, I'm not saying he became a Muslim. May Allah guide him. But the point is, he was very attentive. Why? Why was he attentive? Because I was teaching him something. Something he didn't know. So that's the job of a da'i, is to teach, not to preach. Make sense, brothers? So don't be shy of teaching people. Wallahi, I'll tell you another story. A couple of weeks ago, we had a brother accepted Islam. And by the way, when you give dawah, we stop our dawah when somebody becomes Muslim, and we right away cater the new Muslim. That's our goal. We're not there to get shahadas. We're there to get people to start worshipping Allah. So right away on Dundas Square, we pulled out a water bottle, and we did wudu, showed him how to make wudu, taught him how to make wudu, put up the mat, and we started worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala right there and then. We said, forget getting him even to a masjid. Wallahi, everybody in that Dundas Square was completely blown away. Why? Why were they blown away? Because they never seen someone teach someone right there and then. He became a Muslim, and we started teaching him Islam. People love to learn. Why the Sahabas loved the Prophet ﷺ? Because he was benefiting them. He was giving them knowledge. So here's the point. We said this in the beginning. I'm just going to remind you, just so you don't fail this question. What is the ultimate reason we should give dawah? Let's see if you were listening to what I was speaking earlier. Yeah. No, invite people. Anybody else? I even just gave you the answer. Yes, Sheikh. Responsibly by giving Allah. Yes, in the back. You're steadfast. That's the ultimate reason. Yes, brother, in the back. Okay, mashallah, it's good. All these are good reasons, by the way. But here's the ultimate reason, brothers. The ultimate reason for giving dawah is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a commandment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the Shaykh was saying, I didn't want to get into the technicality because the Shaykh is way more knowledgeable than me. To me, by the way, sunnah is not something you leave it. To me, sunnah, for me, because I study alhamdulillah, with ulama and mashayikh. My understanding of sunnah, brothers, if there's a sahih hadith, authentic, to me is as equal as the Quran. Are you with me, brothers? So when I use the word sunnah, I don't mean if you do it, it's okay. If you don't do it, it's not okay. If there's a sahih hadith, you give it to me it's a hujjah on me. I mean, I have to do it. As long as I understand it, you know, the context and so on and so forth. But to me, a hadith of a Prophet ﷺ is sahih as equal as the Quran. And that's the understanding of all of the ulama for the last 1400 years, that the Prophet ﷺ does not speak from his hawa. Everything he says is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says, whatever the Prophet ﷺ gives you, take it. In the Prophet ﷺ, best of example for you, O mankind. So for us, as Muslims, the sunnah, as long as it is authentic, is as equal as the Quran. There's no levels. Sure, you can't read hadiths in your ayats. So there's barakah in reading Quran in the salah. But the level of action is the same. So here's a question. How many of you have an iPhone here with a show of hands? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, many. How many of you have an Android phone? Okay. What's great about Android phone? Here's a question. Something is good about the Android, why you bought it. What is it that you would tell people to be convinced? You don't have to convince them, but to share with them that why they should switch from iPhone to an Android. What could you tell us? What are good things about Android? Features. Yes, brother. Huh? User friendly. Yes, brother. Much more advanced levels of innovation. Okay, good. Sisters? Okay. So here's the point. How many have kids? Show of hands. Kids. 1, 2, mashallah, 3, 4, 5. I have kids. My kids are all grown up. I remember my little one, Hamza, when he was 2 years old, he used to look at every single thing and he'd start pointing at it. Dad, look, crow. Dad, look, Toyota, car. Dad, look, whatever it is, tree, star, plane. He would point at everything. My daughter too, when she was little, look, Dad, butterfly. Look, Dad, is that cute? That's a very cute pink dress. Now, why would my kids tell me this stuff? Why do your kids, the ones that are parents, why do kids do that? Why do they tell us? Some of you have nephews and nieces, so you may not be a parent, but you understand that kids do this. Why do they do that? Okay, so you're astonished. So what? Why do they have to tell you? I'm astonished by a lot of things, but I don't go around telling people sometimes. Yeah. They like to share. MashaAllah, they like to share what they like. So what I'm trying to show you from this is that in your fitrah, your innate disposition, is there that when you love something, you want to share it. And I'll give you the opposite is true. If you lived on the planet Earth and you were the only human being, there was no other human being, and the whole Earth was flat, no mountains, no trees, nothing, everything was flat. It'd be a terrible place, by the way. But imagine you lived here and you found something beautiful, even if it's one thing, and you had no one to share it. How would it make you feel? Sad, right? So what am I trying to give you from this example is this. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in Sahih Bukhari. He says, you truly will not believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. So Imam Nawawi rahimullah, he gives an exegesis on this. He says, when the Prophet ﷺ saying, your akhi, he's not saying akhi, he's saying linnas, mean humanity. You truly will not love what you love for yourself until you love for humanity what you love for yourself. So what does that mean? What is the one thing we all should love the most? What do you love the most? That's the question for somebody here. Let's pick now. Sisters, this is second sister there. Right here, you're yourself, yeah. What do you love the most? Okay, mashallah, she said Allah. Anybody else? What do you love the most, brother? The one in the blue here, second line. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, excellent. Very good, mashallah. Because I'll tell you, I've asked this question to people, you know what they say? I love my parents, I love my wife, I love my husband, I love my job. Actually, I was here in London, and I went out for dinner with some of the brothers from this masjid, and they asked me, and I explained this to them. I said, look, anything you love, Allah will test you with it. Anything. You love your mom and dad, Allah will test you with your mom and dad. So they'll give you a hard time. If you're married and you love your wife, Allah will test you with your wife. If you love your business, Allah will test you with your business. If anything you love, anything, doesn't matter, your kids, Allah will test you with it. But if you love something for the sake of Allah, Allah will beautify that relationship. And He will increase it. That's why when we love something, we always love everything for the sake of Allah. So the brother asked me at the lunchtime we went out at dinner, he said, how do you do that? I said, bro, I love my children, but I know Allah can take my children away. And if may Allah protect my kids, if Allah takes my kids away, yeah, I know I'm going to see them in Jannah, inshallah. So my love, if I love them for Allah, it will live forever. But if I love them for this dunya, then definitely going to lose them. If you love your wife and you don't love her for the sake of Allah, then your love has deficiency in it. Because you're going to lose your wife. You're going to lose your husband. You're going to lose your money. But if you love for Allah, Allah will live forever. And that love of yours will live forever for that thing. I just want you to think about this. If we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we want to share Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with people, here's a question. If you put yourself, I want you to have empathy for the people for a minute. Just think about it. Put yourself in the shoes of non-Muslims. If you were a non-Muslim, would you want someone to give you dawah? Absolutely. Excellent. Okay. Would you want someone to tell you what Islam is? By the way, I've heard stuff in this that you guys are not even saying. Wallahi, I heard them, some of the classes like, no man, I would never tell anyone about Islam. Why? Because they don't want to hear it. I've heard this like almost every masjid. This is the only masjid now I'm hearing it's unique, mashallah. All of the answers you're giving, Allah Mubarak, it's amazing. So here's a question. So I tell the people, why is it that they don't want to hear about Islam? Yeah, but why they don't want to hear it? Because it's the truth. Yes. Yeah, it's the truth, but why they don't want to hear the truth? Yeah. Yeah, I think even Muslims are attached to the dunya. But here's the point, I'll tell you why. If I had the best food on the planet Earth, right? Look good, smell good, taste good, and you're starving, will you eat it? Yes? You'll be like, man, smells good, looks good. You eat it, right? Yes or no? Here's a crude example coming again, okay? Sorry for my crude example. If I gave you the best food in the world and you're hungry and it smells good, looks good, but I put poop on top of it, will you eat it? But it's the best food in the world. But why don't you eat it? Disgusting, right? That's what we're doing to Islam. We're presenting Islam through poop. And then we're saying, well, people don't want to hear Islam. Because the way you're presenting it is poop. Are you with me, brothers? Learn how to give dawah so you can present it the right way. And then they won't say, no, I don't want it. And that's why you're here. You're here how to articulate the message of Islam with compassion, with reason, with intellect. Dawah isn't about intellectuality. It's through emotionality. It's through spirituality. One of the biggest things in the dawah, brothers, if you ask me, Ali, what is the biggest gap in the dawah? Do you want to know what it is? It's not that we don't have dais. It's not we don't have dawah material. It's not that we don't have tables. It's not that we're not dressing good. It's not that we don't smell good. You know what's missing in the dawah, brothers? is spirituality. How many da'is do you meet in your life, whether it's online or offline, that go in the dawah and they say, look, the purpose for our life is this. Is to put your head on the ground and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When was the last time you seen a da'i do that? Have you ever seen anyone do that? Go watch. I'm not praising me. I have a lot of shortcomings, a lot of sins. Go watch my YouTube videos. Because the dawah isn't about intellectuality. It's not about emotionality. It's about spirituality as well. People are dying to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to present the dawah in the right way, inshallah. That's what we're learning here. And giving dawah has huge rewards, brothers and sisters. What do I mean? What I mean here is this. Imagine this for a second. The Prophet ﷺ told the Sahabas to go out and convey the message of Islam. And the Sahabas went throughout the world conveying the message of Islam. Why did they do that? Why did they do that? I know it's a commandment. Atiullah, atiur Rasul. Obey Allah and obey the Messenger. I'm not doubting that for 1 second. But there's another element to the dawah. Here's the point. Somebody has a phone. Can you open up a calculator on your phone? Let's do some math. Basic math. If you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in salah, in jama'ah, what's the reward of it? 27. If you did that 5 times a day, it's 135. So let's go 135. If you did that for a whole year, so 135 times 365 is how much? 49,500. See, I've done this a few times. Okay. So let's say we live, the Prophet said, my ummah will be between 60 and 80. So let's say you live 65 years, roughly. Let's do 49,500 for 65 years. What's the reward? 3.2 something million, yeah? Now if you went to Haram, Makkah, and you worshipped Allah in one salah, 100,000. You did that 5 times, 500,000. Let's go back to the calculator. 500,000 times 7 is how much? 3.5. So you would get more reward just in Makkah in 1 week than your whole life here, which you don't come to masjid 5 times a day. So what's better? 1 week in Makkah, right? 1 week praying salah in Makkah is 3.5 million. And if you stayed in this masjid for the next 65 years, you will not get to that number. That's my point. So let me ask you this question. The Sahabas were in Makkah and Medina. They could have stayed and get their reward. So why did they disperse all over the world? The responsibility. And what else? Yeah. MashaAllah, Allah Mubarak. He's saying when someone becomes a Muslim, every time they do a good deed, it's copy-paste. It's not diminished. It's not like one gets more. Guess, I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to give you this experience. You know, sometimes tajriba, experience, has a lot of benefit. Let's say 3 of you go out and give dawah. 3. 1, 2, and this brother. 3 of you go and give dawah. And I'm telling you this, wallahi, I'm telling you this from experience, not from just read it in a book. You give dawah all day, maybe one person accepts Islam. Okay? I guarantee you, if every person in this room collectively went out and gave dawah, what do you think will happen? You'll have at least 5 to 10 shahadas. Why? It's not just about the numbers game. Giving dawah as a collective ummah has a huge impact on the non-Muslims. Huge. worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala outside has a huge impact on the non-Muslims. So yes, two of you can give da'wah, no problem. But every time from tajriba, from experience, I do these open mosques where sometimes there's 30, 40 du'ats and 30, 40 different volunteers, all doing the same thing. We did it in this masjid. We had 9 shahadas in this masjid a couple years back. 2,000 non-Muslims came here in this masjid. Working together has a huge impact. So giving da'wah as a one-off by yourself, yes, you'll make some effort. But what you work together as jama'ah is huge. So the point I'm trying to say, yes, I'm taking a break now. But the point I'm trying to say, just from this here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, as who's better in speech than the one who invites to Allah and does righteous deed, and he says, indeed, I'm of the Muslim. So when we look at the word here, who is better in speech? And the one who invites to Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what he's saying? Dawah is to speak. Dawah is not actions only. It's part of it, sure. Many brothers believe, Muslim brothers, they believe that if I'm just a good guy or a good sister, that's my dawah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, and who's better in speech? He's saying that to use your lisan, use your tongue to call people to Islam. And then he's saying, and the one who invites to Allah, using your tongue, and does righteous deed, means you have to be a good human being. That's part and parcel of giving dawah. But that's not your default position. I met a brother in Barry. He says, I've been giving dawah to my neighbor for like 15 years. I cut her grass, I go laundry, I do this, I do that. She hasn't accepted Islam. I said, did you invite her to Islam? He said, no, why would I? I just thought being a nice guy is enough. I said, bro, that might be counter dawah. Do you know what counter dawah is? What is counter dawah? Yeah, why would it be taking away from Islam? Right. See how you just thought it right through. Sometimes the Sahabas, when they would give dawah, they would try to understand the mindset of the people. So what's the mindset of the people here in the West? Because you live in the West. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. They're good because despite being a Muslim. But what's their mindset? No. Their mindset, my beloved brothers, yeah, not only that, my sister. Their mindset is, there's a book, really good book. It's called The White Man's Burden. Go read it. There's many books like this, by the way. That they believe that they are the superior race and you're not. You came from Pakistan, Egypt, Bangladesh. Wherever you came from, you're from a third world country and you are not. You are the uncivilized people, and we are the civilized people. And because of us, you park your cars in lane. You watch our TVs. You get on our planes that we invented. So they have this ego in them. That even if you were a good guy to them, they would just attribute it to themselves. It's because of us you're doing it. That's why it could be counter dawah. Until you don't link your goodness to Islam, you don't tell them, the reason why I cut your grass or the reason I pick up your laundry is look, I believe in Allah. And I believe He's one. And I believe He deserves to be worshipped. And I believe Prophet ﷺ is a prophet of God. And I believe the Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you agree with me, Cynthia or David? And if you don't do these three things, if you don't have ikhlas, the sincerity, and if you don't give them the concept, and you don't get them to agree that Islam is the haqq, you're not giving dawah. You're not. You could be going against the dawah. And many brothers believe being a good guy is dawah. It's not. Living in the West, that could be against dawah. Because they'll just say, it's because of us you're a nice guy. So you always have to link back to Islam, and you always have to get them to agree. If this is a good way, you should accept it. Would you want to accept Islam? John? No. Why not? Are you with me, brothers? Let's take a quick break here, and then we'll come back and we'll continue, inshallah. So there's some coffee, tea in the back. Inshallah, let's have a 10-minute break, and then we continue. Oh, timer? Okay. Oh boy. Allahu Akbar. I have a timer on here, brothers. 10 minutes. Please make sure it's 10 minutes. Assalamu alaikum, bro. Jazakallah khair.
Okay, I don't want to interrupt your break. Continue having your coffee and break, but just a few minutes. As a brother now, he has a question. We said maybe it's good to use our time wisely. Please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. When giving da'wah at Western, I was approached with a question from an atheist, and they asked me a question that was more science-based rather than spiritual or whatnot. It was aspects of evolution and biology, and I explained that obviously we talk to atheists and we tell them that you don't create yourself, and we go through the whole thing. To cut it short, he was essentially mentioning how like the first cell and bacteria and mutations and whatnot. So he got to a point where he was asking me stuff that I didn't have enough knowledge on. So I told him that come back to me next week, I'll have an answer for you. So the point of this question is to ask the Sheikh, how do you respond to people like that, and what is the correct response, and how can you explain to them clearly when they mention these things to you, right? And how do you explain like that you come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you, and it's not just from evolution and whatnot. Ali.
Jazakallah khairan, Brother Ali, for your question. May Allah bless you. And that's why I asked him to say the question in public, because maybe we can all get benefit of that while you are enjoying your break. First of all, do not be obligated to answer any question. This is very important. And when somebody asks you a question, it's nothing wrong to say, I don't know. It's nothing wrong to say, I want to ask. And I will bring the question to you. I will search and I will come back. But involving in a discussion where you're not aware, you make it worse. And when you be defeated, they're not going to say that individual to be defeated, because Islam has no answer. So this will be the problem. So do not really be obligated to answer any question and be under pressure. That's very important. This is not something that everyone making da'wah has to be knowledgeable. However, it's very important to educate yourself, to have a reference, to have somebody to go and ask. Do not just go to ask and Sheikh Google, or nowadays Mufti ChatGPT now. So you have to have a reference to somebody to ask and clarify, that. And actually, it's good and worth it, even after the class, that we still, as a group, we maybe meet, maybe even once a month, or in a while, we have some questions we address together, especially the frequent being asked question and how to answer it in a proper way with wisdom. And if somebody asks you a question that not relevant, or question is not going to be important, even knowing the answer, the answer will never save him from hellfire. You didn't even have to waste your time and energy with that, even if you know the answer. Ask you about the age of our mother Aisha, how old when she get married. Why even you need to go and debate and to talk about that? It's not important. Ask him, if I give you the answer, is that going to make you change your position and maybe come forward to Islam, or take it seriously, or just, because something came up, just you want to argue? So you have to differentiate between debate and a dialogue. Try to stay away from debate as much as you can, and more involved in the dialogue. Dialogue when you present the good that you have without attacking the other person. Debate, it's the opposite. You try to make them feel like wrong, and that's actually challenging. So you don't want that. Okay? So it's very important, generally speaking, about the da'wah. Do not be under pressure. So how about they ask me a question I couldn't answer? This is not something you should be under pressure. Okay, brothers? That's important. But the question that they're being asked is important because it's essential about knowing God and the existence of God. That's really important. Okay? So one thing is you have to know the background of the person. Most time when he asks him in university, he's studying science. I like all of these debates. Okay? So one thing is, you backlash on him, or you flip the table. He told you this science said this and that. It clearly, evolution, the Darwin theory is not science. It's belief. It's not science. Because science believe in something tangible, something you can observe, and that's not. And they cannot bring one example of a change of kind. all of these, their examples, thousands of those examples, just a change of classification and a property of the thing, but not a change of kind. The fish still remain fish, has this, side or this shape. It doesn't matter. The monkey still monkeys, So this is one thing. So they cannot bring in any evidence that change of kind. That's one thing. The second, the change, if it should be continue, why stop? If their evolution that were change of this kind to other kind, that as they said, okay, they should continue going on, then all of the monkey kind, it's a change. None of them will be exist. Why they stop in that way? And in all of that doesn't make sense. And always try to give question, not answers. Okay, he asks you a question. Okay, I'm going to answer you, but can you give me this and that? And they could not. Because they memorize some of those of argument, and just they throw it in there, and you don't want to waste your time with somebody. He just have time, and like debate. Because many of those students, they like that debate. As he said, he was doing dawah at Western. So anyway, I don't want to take more of your time, but that's a good question. I have not answered the question. I just set some rules in there, but inshallah we can even discuss more to talk about that. And that's actually part of the program. The brother Ali will touch, when he will go after the break, after the lunch. Inshallah, be awake, inshallah. Do not take a lot, so do not be heavy with biryani. Inshallah, he will talk to you about the gorab after. Inshallah, that will be part of it, and he will touch you in that. Do not lose the interest, and inshallah, keep the momentum and the energy, and inshallah, you will benefit from this.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. Just to answer the brother's question, I'm not sure if the brother knows. I know a lot of brothers, they believe that they come and they take this training, and they believe that they know now how to give dawah trainings. And this is a big challenge. I've been studying Aqidah with my Sheikh since 2018. And I'm afraid to deliver one class. My Sheikh is forcing me. Brother, you've been learning with me for like 6 years. Go and teach even a small book. I'm like, Sheikh, I'm worried. So now, of course, after the years, now I'm starting to realize I got to teach something, even if it's little. But that being said, how to teach dawah, you have to be knowledgeable. Why am I saying that? There's a statement from Ali, may Allah be pleased with him. He said, speak to the people of their understanding. Do you want them to reject Allah and His Messenger? So what does that mean? When we're in the university setting, the dawah is completely different than when we're on the streets. Just for the brothers, just for information. So in IRA, we do, I'm not sure if many of you know or not, all of the da'is globally are at the pinnacle of dawah, have been taught and developed by IRA. Like Hamza Zorzis, Mohamed Hijab, many brothers from around the globe. They're at the forefront of the dawah, all been taught by IRA. I'm not saying only IRA, of course there's other people. But the point is, what we're teaching you in today's day is actually to go a full course is a whole week. And out of that, we summarize it in 2 days. And now we're summarizing that in 1 day. So you're not going to get everything, but just to give you a little bit of flavor, because the brother did ask. Always go back to the foundations, right? When somebody says, well, I believe in science, just simply in evolution is a scientific theory. And in order for something to be true, you have to prove why that thing is true, right? For example, evolution is a theory. By the way, a theory is a well-confirmed truth in an epistemology, in a scientific realm. So I don't want to get too philosophical with you, because I told you this is not going to be a philosophical dawah course. It's going to be very basic. But just to kind of get you to understand, Evolution is based on science. Some of it. Some of it is ijtihad, right? Some of it is an analogy. Someone is inference, right? I just asked a question. Does science lead to certainty? So it's a question for you, brother. Does science lead to certainty? Okay, so let's say I observe something. So let's ask what science is. Science is an observation, then you make another observation, and then you make another observation. From those observations, from the specific, you go to the general. Now, you observe something, and you're going to something that you cannot prove. Like for example, somebody made an observation that the sun keeps coming around every morning. Observed it once, observed it twice, observed it 3 times, and from that conclusion, the earth is the center of the universe because everything is going around us, all the stars. Is that a true statement? No. There was a theory like that. Somebody made an observation that the earth is flat. And from that, there was a conclusion. That's why Christopher Columbus came across to North America, right? Thinking that his ship is going to fall off. Because the earth is flat. Because you can't prove the earth is not flat, right? You just have to accept someone else's testimony that the earth is not flat. The point I'm trying to make, observation can lead you to certainty sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't lead you to certainty. So that means it doesn't lead us to ultimate certainty. So if evolution is based on science, and science is flux, it changes, it revises. The whole idea of science is supposed to change. Because otherwise we still believe the earth is flat. We'd still believe we're in the center of the universe. So I would just generally ask, does science lead to certainty? Yes or no? If they say yes, they need to go back to school. They need to be educated on what is science, the philosophy of science. We do these courses in many universities where we go through evolution, philosophy of science, and many, many other topics that kind of go into the depth. And I do this with universities mostly. I don't do it in masajids because this is high-level dawah. So maybe the university would like to set up something like that. We could talk about that. Going back to the topic at hand, just to kind of summarize this in a quick way. When we talk about evolution, evolution has something which is called PAD. Problems, assumptions, and disputes. Means there's many problems in evolution that themselves, the scholars of evolution are discussing among themselves. And there are disputes among them. No, where did the eye come from? Where did the ear come from? Somebody said the reason we have a brain is because we started cooking food, and now because of the food, a mind came along and we started thinking. These are things they had to come up with. So they have assumptions, they have disputes, and they have problems in the theory of evolution. Anyway, this is not a course on evolution, that's a sidebar discussion. Just to help you a little bit, there's 2 courses you should go and take. One, philosophy of science, what is science? And second, Sabur Ahmed, who's the CEO of IRA, does a really good course on evolution online. You can take some courses and it'll help you understand. Jazakallah khair. Alright, back to our dawah training. Prophet ﷺ said, by Allah, if a single person is guided by Allah through you, is better than the red camels. What that means is that if somebody were to become a Muslim by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He uses us, it's better than anything in this world. Better than anything. Why? The Prophet ﷺ said this to Ali, may Allah be pleased with him. Where? When he were going to a battle. Where they saw on the other side that they had so much wealth. At this time, the Prophet ﷺ is saying, by Allah, if a single person is guided by Allah through you, is better than the red camels. And the Arabs used to think the red camels, and still do, is the most precious prized thing. So what we're trying to show you from here, brothers, is this. That everything you do in your life, all your businesses, all your wealth, all your job, all your money, if you were to give all of that up, I'm not saying give it up and become homeless. I'm saying if you spend it in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if a single person is guided, one, every time that person prays, gives sadaqah, gives charity, goes to Hajj, goes to Umrah. When he gets married, his wife, his children, his grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. Until Yawm al-Qiyamah, every person that from his descendant does good, all of us that help support that person come to Islam, share the reward. So the Sahabas understood this. Now they knew why that the most important thing is for us to share that message of Islam. However, what are the consequences if we don't give da'wah? So just to share with you that the Prophet ﷺ is saying, I swear by the one whose hand is my soul, either you command good and forbid evil, or Allah will send upon you a punishment from Him, and you will supplicate, you will make dua, and then you will call upon Him, and He will not respond to you. What am I saying? Check. I'm saying this. I'm not saying I speak behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I'm saying, are we not making dua for our brothers in Gaza? Are we not making dua for our brothers in Sudan? Every single day, every salah. Some of us are getting up at tahajjud. Some of us are looking at our brothers in India, what's happening, and we're making dua for them. We're trying to make dua for our brothers in the Uyghurs in China. We see the Muslims in turmoil all over the world. We should think about this. The Prophet ﷺ saying, we have to command good and forbid evil. This is a principle in the Muslim Ummah that has been forgotten. We don't tell people what they're doing wrong. And we don't enjoin when they're doing something good. If somebody's doing good, you have a masjid? I'm going to make my own masjid. Yes? You have a dawah center? I'm going to make my own dawah center. You're doing khair? I'm going to do khair. I'm not saying stop people. But when someone is doing good, join the good. Don't divide yourself up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, hold the rope of Allah, don't divide yourself up. You understand, brothers? So enjoin good and forbid evil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the people of the book when what they would do, the people of the book, our previous Muslim Ummah, which we call them Yahud, we'd already discussed this today. They used to be fishermen. They would fish. So they had their own risala, their own message, the risala of Musa alayhi salam, the message of Musa alayhi salam, not to work on Saturday, the Sabbath. So what they would do fishing, and they said, okay, if we're not allowed to work on Saturday, what we'll do is we'll throw the net out Friday and we'll pull it out on Sunday. So some people said to them, what you're doing is wrong. You're breaking the commandments of Allah. And the other people said, it's none of our business. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in the Quran that the people that broke the Sabbath, Allah punished them, from understanding of our Islamic discourse. And the people that warned them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honors them by being mentioned in the Quran. The people that didn't tell them what they're doing is wrong are not even mentioned. So what does this have to do with not being? So what if I'm not mentioned? Many people are not mentioned. The Salaf, the early three generation, the pious predecessors, they used to say, there's a saying that when they used to go through calamity, they used to say, the mushrikeen, the kuffars of the time, they say, whenever you go through calamity, you become happy. When something good happens to you, you guys stay normal. What's this about? And they used to say, now I'm not asking may Allah not test us or any one of us more than we can handle, of course. But they used to say, if we're not being tested, that means Allah has forgotten about us. And if Allah has forgotten about us, that means we're in trouble. That doesn't mean we're good. If you have $1 million in your bank account, don't think you're saved. That could be your destruction. I'm not saying if you're doing khair with that, alhamdulillah, it's good. The point I'm trying to say, brothers, is that these people, they were not mentioned. And the early generations used to say, and if Allah forgot about us, if we're forgotten, that means we're destroyed. In the same way, brothers, we don't want to be forgotten by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want, yes, we're not looking for calamities, but we are looking for this, to follow Allah and His Messenger. And sometimes you're going to go through trials and tribulation. Some of us are going to go through hardships. I met a brother 2 nights ago, Wednesday night. Today's Saturday, right? Wednesday night, 2 nights ago. I was in Dundas Square giving dawah. I didn't see these brothers. It was 5, 6 Muslim brothers. I didn't see them. They saw me. The night I went to have dinner with my wife, we were sitting in a restaurant. And these brothers were like, hey, I saw you at Dundas Square. You were there. I'm like, yeah. So I started giving them dawah. So as I started giving them dawah, the iman just grows, right? Like when someone gives you dawah, your iman grows, right? So the iman grew. So one of the brothers, and I'll give you the example what I gave him. I said there was a man. By the way, when I give dawah to specific people for what they need. One of the brothers didn't have any legs. Young guy, 22 years old. No legs. He was walking around with mechanical legs. You know now the new legs they have? They're mechanical. So I gave a story. I said, there was a man in Syria many years ago when Russia was bombing them. A bomb fell on his house. His arms and his legs got cut off. May Allah protect everyone. But when his legs got cut off, at some point his vocal cords left him. He couldn't speak. So when his vocal cords came back, of course, one of the mashayikhs asked him, he said, this is the greatest thing ever happened to me. He said, how so? He says, before I used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in salah, and I'd be thinking about work, money, job, business, family. Now, when I'm in salah, I'm connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He goes, as long as I stay upon this, I know inshallah Allah will forgive me and enter me Jannah. So this is the greatest thing ever happened to me. And of course I said many more other things, but this thing hit the brother because he had no legs. So he sat me down. He says, brother, after I gave dawah, because they all had different questions. Somebody has a question about cigarettes. Somebody had a question about girls. All of the brothers. So one by one, I gave them time. And I told my wife, when Muslims ask me a question, I always give them time. So I gave him time. And then the brother said, can I send all my friends? I have a really important question. So I sat down and I explained to him. We sat down and he started asking me about, hey, ever since he got this disease and his legs got cut off, he stopped praying. So I explained to him the hadith Qudsi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says there's someone who enjoyed his whole life and he will be put in Jahannam for a split second and he'll be taken out and he'll ask, did you ever enjoy? He said, Wallahi, I never enjoyed. And I said, the opposite is true. Someone who suffered his whole life, Allah will put him in a split second in Jannah and ask him out, did you ever suffer? Did you ever suffer? He said, Wallahi, never suffered. So I asked him, and I'll ask you the question, what's infinite minus 100? Infinite. So I say, your suffering in this life is nothing compared to the afterlife. So whenever we look at life, we look at it through the lenses of the akhirah. We're always akhirah centric. Cutting hands is a good thing or bad thing for stealing? How is that good? You're cutting your hand. Yeah. How is that good? Yeah. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. May Allah bless you, bro. Very knowledgeable brother. May Allah bless you. Great. But here's the point. The point is this. If I stole, and may Allah forgive me, I would hopefully never steal. But if I get my hand cut off in this dunya, it's a blessing for stealing. Why? Because what's worse, cutting my hand or going to hell? So always look at life through akhirah centric. Are you with me, brothers and sisters? Don't look at what's happening now. Oh, what about this? What about... It doesn't matter. So when the brother understood this, alhamdulillah, the brother is like, you know what? I want to go back and worship my Rabb. And that's dawah. Linking back people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, good. So the point here is, sometimes calamities are a good thing. Sometimes. He said, since my legs got cut off, wallahi, I can do things that I never did when I had my legs. I said, what do you mean? Like what? He goes, I drive a stick shift. I never drove a stick before. I can do it with my mechanical legs. I go to the gym and I work out. I'm more healthier than ever before. The people come to me and say, you're an inspiration for me. I said, bro, you have to come to my house. I got to make a video on you. Inshallah, one day if he comes, I'll make a video and I'll post it out about the brother. The point I'm trying to get to, that our job is to enjoin good and forbid evil. Our job is not to say we're going through trials or we're happy. Okay? Sometimes telling people what you're doing wrong, people are not going to like it. But that's your job. How you do it? Bil hikmah, with wisdom. Okay, we're going to talk about the fiqh of dawah. So the fiqh of dawah basically means that there are three parts of the fiqh of dawah. Basically means the call, the caller, and the called. So the call is basically calling people to Tawheed. This is one thing you cannot forget. You cannot forget this part. If you forget everything else, don't forget this. What? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, surely we sent the messenger to every community saying, worship Allah and shun false God. Taghut. Shun false. This is your dawah. Calling people to worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The number one thing in your dawah is going back to Tawheed. Going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm going to say this again, just to repeat. If you forget everything, please don't forget this part. If you remember this part, what I'm discussing now, and everything else from the morning to evening you forget, no problem. But don't forget this part. Because this is dawah. Primary thing is to call people to Tawheed. So, and the proof for this is in the Quran and the Sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ says to Mu'adh bin Jabal, may Allah be pleased with him, he says, you're going to the people of book, so the first thing you call them to is what? La ilaha illallah. So we see the tartib, we see the order as well. The order is not to talk about philosophy of science. The order is not to talk about the Big Bang. The order is not to talk about, intellectuality. The order is to always call back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The order is not to talk about your culture. Order is not to talk about your imam is a great imam. It's not about your community, your country, your group, your political ideology. Actually, I was listening to one brother yesterday. He was saying, he was giving dawah to some brothers in UK. I want to name out a group, but there's a political group. It's a president in Canada as well. The brother was giving him dawah, and he became a Muslim, and he left him for a little while, and he left him with his brother, and all they kept talking about is political ideologies. Yeah? So after he started about political ideologies, the brother, the new Muslim, started getting ADHD. He started panicking. Everything was about politics. So sometimes talking about what's important, give the people the right message, is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to connect with Allah. All these other things are important at some point. But Allah will not hold you accountable what you're not capable of. Allah will ask you about you. Many brothers are so worried about what's happening around the world, but they're not worried about their own salah. They're not worried about their own community. They're not worried about their own parents, their own brothers and sisters. Worry about yourself and your family. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimullah, he says, a da'i should not be concerned what he cannot achieve. So you should not be concerned what you cannot do. Focus on what you can do. And even in English, there's a saying, the people nearest to you that you can influence, the 5 people that you influence, focus on those 5 people. If the 4 of you are friends, brothers, then you focus on the 4 of you. Why focus on someone in Pakistan when you have no influence over them? If you work on these 4 brothers, and these 4 brothers work on another 4 brothers, and the 4 brothers work on another 4 brothers, at some point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring nusrah to the Muslims. Focus on us and our communities. And yes, we help other people, no problem. But don't neglect your communities. I didn't start giving dawah to all of Canada, but I lived in Barrie and never gave dawah in Barrie. I started with Barrie, because that's where I started. I would travel from Barrie to Mississauga to learn, then I started giving dawah in Mississauga. Then the brothers started going to Toronto, then I started going to Toronto. But I never stopped giving dawah in Barrie. Give dawah in your locale, and then move outwards. Just like the Prophet ﷺ. He started with Mecca, had a hardship, went to Taif, the road got blocked, Allah opened up what? Medina. He went to Medina, he established Islam. He established the Sahaba, he developed them. And then they spread out throughout the world. So let's focus on London, Ontario. Let's focus on this community. Build our community. Bring strong Muslims by learning the deen, giving the message, and then slowly move to the next city. And don't make your call about some aspects of the dawah. Hijab, eating pork. These are not primary discussions. Primary discussion is about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Aisha, may Allah be pleased with them, said, if the first things were revealed was ahkams, mean drinking alcohol, fornication, we would not be Muslim. So our goal is to call people to worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Primary calling back to Tawheed. Worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the most important thing. And the dawah has to be done with basira. With what? With wisdom, with knowledge. Knowledge of the people, knowledge of the Islam, knowledge of understanding what's happening. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, say, O people, O Prophet, this is my way. I invite to Allah with insight, basira, and those who follow me. What we're showing from here, brothers, you have to have a deep understanding of what you're talking about. Learn your deen and give dawah at the same time. But understand the context. Have a deep understanding what's coming around the corner. You know, I was telling the brother this morning, and I think I've said it before. Do you know, this is from Allah, wallahi, it's not from me. You know, your brothers are sitting in front of me. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the dua of Allah that I made to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many years ago, there was an accident in London, and there were 4 people that were run by a pickup truck. And you know, it deeply saddened me. And at that time, I was very busy, active in downtown Toronto, giving dawah, and Mississauga, and all these cities. And I said, oh Allah, I wish that we can open the front of dawah in London, Ontario. Maybe, if somebody gave this brother dawah, maybe he wouldn't have done this. Maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe, you know, I always say people, be proactive, not reactive. What's the difference between proactive and reactive? Yeah. So that's the point. Jazakallah khair, brother. We need to be proactive in the dawah. We can't wait until they come down and break our doors down and say, hey, you Muslims, get out of this country. And then say, no, wait, brother. We're here peacefully. It's too late. It's too late. Look what's happened in India, brothers. I'm not saying people didn't give dawah, but we waited too long. It's too late. Now you can't give dawah. Are you with me? You have an opportunity right now. In Canada, right now you have opportunity to give dawah. If you let this opportunity go, and you come back 20 years from now, and if you don't establish dawah, and when they're ready to kick you out, then it's too late. Too late. So be proactive. However, it's very important, brothers, just want to share with you, our job is to convey, not to convert. Our job is not to convince people about Islam. Nuh alayhi salam gave dawah for 950 years. He gave dawah in the morning, in the night, in the evening, openly, hidden. He didn't care about the result. Our job is to convey, not to convert. If you understand this principle, your dawah will be amazing. I tell brothers, stand on the street and say, you know what? I'm here to give you a message. You want it? You don't want it? Go. We don't care. When you have to speak to people like that, they'll be like, you know what? What does this guy have I want? The dawah is always done through strength, not weakness. Brother, I have a flyer for you. You want to accept? This is not dawah, brother. This is not dawah. This is embarrassing. Which Sahabas walked around saying, yes, please, what do you think about taking Islam? They were strong in their understanding of Islam. I'm not saying to be rude, by the way. There's a fine line between being rude and being firm. Giving knowledge, having knowledge of what you're talking about, gives you that firmness. Right? Know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fear Allah, have that, trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Be truthful to Islam.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
حي على الصلاة.
لا حول ولا قوة.
حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر.
الله أكبر، الله أكبر.
لا إله إلا الله.
لا إله إلا الله. I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker just because our time is very limited. In Islam, our job is not to convince people, our job is to convey. Every human being knows that there's a creator. I was studying one day with one of my mashayikhs, and he said your dawah is not about rububiyah. Your dawah is about uluhiyah. I know many of you brothers may not know who doesn't study Islam. I know our sheikhs, mashayikhs would know. Rububiyah basically means the creative power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Uluhiyah basically means that Allah deserves worship. And when he said that, it was like a penny drop moment. Completely my dawah from that day changed. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in the Quran, is there a doubt that there's a creator? Is there a doubt that there's God? There's no doubt. That's what the Anbiyas were asking. Why are you doubting this? Why are you doubting that there's a creator? So your job is not to convince people there's a God. Your job is to ask them why you don't believe in God and who do you worship. That's our job. And everybody is worshiping something. So let's define worship. Worship is to know something the most, love something the most, and obey something the most. So what does that mean? Someone wants to know about hockey, loves hockey, sends his kid to hockey school, buys hockey jerseys. He loves hockey, wants to know hockey, and he obeys hockey. Hockey can become somewhat of his worship. And every human being is in a state of worship of something or another. So we want people to be free of worshiping the creation to worshiping the Creator. That's your dawah. Your dawah is to liberate the people from the clutches of the creation. That's what you're calling people to. So what are we saying this? innately in the fitrah. The fitrah basically means, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and remember when your Lord brought forth from the back of the loins of children of Adam and their descendants, and had them testify regarding themselves, saying, asked Allah, am I not your Lord? Alastu bi rabbik? And they replied, yes, Bala. You are, we testify. And he continued, now you have no right to say on the day of judgment, we were not aware of this. So what we're saying, brothers, from this ayah is that innately it's in the human being's fitrah to believe in a creator or a higher being or a power. Our job is not to convince them of. Our job is to convey. That's the point. The Prophet ﷺ said, every child is born in the fitrah, and then their parents make them Jew, Christian, and Magian. So what does that mean? The truth is already in them. All you're doing is awakening the truth within them. When we're giving da'wah, we need to be sincere. Sincere to who? Okay, first to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the Prophet ﷺ said, actions are based on intention. If the intention is correct, the action is correct. So when we're giving da'wah, we need to be sincere to who? Ourselves. Be sincere to the one we're giving da'wah. Be sincere to the da'wah itself. Okay? When we speak to people from our heart, it will touch the heart. Have knowledge and clarity what you're talking about. If you don't know a matter, like the brother, mashallah, Allah Mubarak, you know, I loved what you said. When the guy asked me a question about science and evolution, I said, I don't know, I'll get back to you. That's what we want you to do. If you don't know a subject, remain quiet and say, you know what, I don't know, let me look into it, I'll get back to you. That's da'wah. Because that is humility. You know, that person will respect you more than if you actually give him the wrong answer. Because sometimes da'is, what they do, they come to the da'wah booth, they know everything. They become scientists, they become philosophers, they become evolution, they know Islam, they become fuqaha, they become everything. If you don't know something, stay quiet. So have knowledge and clarity what you're talking about. Dawah is not based on ignorance, emotions, and unknowns. Speak to the people to the level of their understanding. As Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, said, have good character, kind and gentle. The Prophet ﷺ was gentle with his companion. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you were harsh with them, they would run away from you. Have emotional empathy. Okay? This is part and parcel of the dawah, brothers. Do not get into useless arguments. Unsincere. The Prophet ﷺ saying, I guarantee a house in Jannah, the one who gives up insincere, useless argument, even if he's right. Sometimes focus on the big picture. Do not go to extremes. The aim is to bring people to Islam. However, we must refrain and reject all form of extremism. Ghulu. People go into extremism. Do not become extreme in the dawah. Okay? And we reject all forms of extremism in speech and action. Okay? And the Prophet ﷺ is saying, beware of extremism in religion, because the only thing that destroyed the people before you was extremism in religion. So who were the people before? The Yahud and Nasara. They went to extremism in their religion. So be in the West. We don't water down Islam and you don't become extreme. When we're giving da'wah, brothers, right, is this. Be sincere. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, invite in the way of your Lord with wisdom, beautiful preaching, and discuss with them, which is better. So what are we saying? Try to understand who you're giving da'wah to. Is this person sincere? Like the Shaykh was saying, ask them the question. What would if I give you the right answer? Would you accept Islam? So ask the question, are you sincere? When you ask a question, you must want to be benefited from the answer. If you're not, then why are you asking this question? Right? So, or are they a troll, inquisitive, just argumentative? Will they accept evidence? Right? Do they believe in scriptures? Will they accept ayats or hadiths and so on and so forth? You know, give them the good news. Sometimes you need to have logic and rationale. So what we're saying, when you look at this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, invite in the way of your Lord with wisdom, hikmah. Sometimes they just want to know why Muslim women cover cover their head? Or why do you have a beard? Maybe they need to know wisdom. The Prophet ﷺ asked to let your lihya grow so men don't look like women, right? There's some wisdom behind that. Or the women are, of course, first from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they obey Allah and His Messenger. But second of all, there's wisdom on when women are covering up. Show them the wisdom behind it, right? Sometimes it's beautiful preaching. What does that mean? How your character is. How you kind of, are beautifully speaking to people. That might guide them to Islam. Sometimes it's you have to discuss with them or argue with them. But that has to be done in the best way. Okay? So, what time is Salah now? 1:50? Okay. Let's do a quick role play in the dawah and see how the dawah would actually take place. Can I get the brother there in the brown jacket? Your shirt. Yeah, yourself, please. Come on up. Do you go to uni, Habibi? University? Which one? Western. Okay. I gave some dawah classes a couple years back. I don't know. I didn't see you there. Maybe you just started?
Nah, yeah, I'm fourth year.
Okay. Let's say you're giving dawah with the MSA in Western. And, what we're trying to achieve right now, actually maybe the sisters can't see you. Can you, if you don't mind? Just maybe, let's come here, just so we're in the center here. So both the brothers and the sisters can see you. So you're in Western University giving dawah. And a man is coming by, or one of the guys is coming by. His name is John. And he's asking you a question. What we're trying to achieve from here is to see why the dawah fails. Why does it fail? Okay? So we're going to do this exercise and see if we can benefit from that. That's really the goal of this, okay? Ready? Have you ever given dawah before?
No.
Never. Okay. Let's go. So I'm coming by. Hey man, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. Let's so they can hear you.
I'm good, how are you?
Good. Are you a Muslim?
Yes, I am.
Are you guys giving out these flyers?
Yes, we are.
Why? The reason I'm asking why, because I believe that Islam should not be shared with people. It's a very bad way of living.
That's interesting. Why would you come to think of that?
Because look at all of the chaos that's happening around the world. Look at what's happening in Palestine or Israel. Look at what's happening in Afghanistan. Look at what happened in Syria. Everywhere Muslims go, there is some kind of trials and tribulation. And, a lot of these people are saying Allahu Akbar and they blow themselves up and all these things. So you guys want to kind of spread that here? We don't want that. I mean, this is a peaceful country,
Okay, so I understand why you may think you hear Allahu Akbar from people and you say, oh, okay, this is what the Muslims in my country, they also say these words, but it's not necessary that people people can show themselves as, hey, look, I'm saying Allahu Akbar, therefore I am Muslim. But that's simply not what we are. In the Quran, I don't remember the verse, but in the Quran it says, Quran or Hadith, it says that killing one person is as if you have killed all of humanity.
Yes.
Is this characteristic of the Quran, which us Muslims, I have to follow this.
Sure.
Do you think these people who are saying Allahu Akbar, bombing people, terrorizing people, do you think this matches what I just said? This is a rule we have to follow.
I agree. I'm not saying it doesn't. I appreciate you're probably one of the better Muslims because I'll tell you, not all terrorists are Muslim, but some Muslims are terrorists, right? So terrorism comes from Islam, no?
No.
No? Because if you see all the violence that's happening are from Muslims. You don't see atheists blowing themselves up and saying Allahu Akbar. I mean, you watch the news, don't you?
Yeah.
But don't you see what's happening? I'm just saying you should step into our world. By the way, I'm being difficult just to get you to understand how they come about, right?
Yeah, okay.
You understand?
Yeah, I understand.
So, but you do see Muslims doing these kind of things, right?
Right.
You don't see atheists doing that. Atheists don't say Allahu Akbar and blow themselves up, right?
That's, I mean, how would you
fact,
know
right?
though?
I
How
mean-
would you know that?
But do you see any atheists?
How can you tell by the news that, hey, this person is atheist, this person is Muslim? Do you know that they're trying to paint a picture or not? How can you trust these news sources?
But I'm just saying, but do you agree that there are some Muslims doing that, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm just saying that some Muslims are terrorists. Yes?
Yeah.
You wouldn't say, because they believe what they're doing is the right thing. What you're doing, they say you're wrong. You should be doing what they're doing. So from us, how do we know, as John, I don't know, which Islam is correct? They're saying they got the right version. So that's what I'm trying to say is Islam teaches violence.
I guess in this situation,
Okay,
you'd
let's
want
stop.
to ask.
You see what happened? So I cornered him. By the way, just to kind of summarize, we want to put the worms back in the can, right? We don't want to leave the can worm open. So let's reverse the role. Okay? So before we do that, just a few things just to kind of look at. When you're having this discussion, were you satisfied with the answers? Now, I could have went on for hours, by the way. I'm trying to summarize it just because time is limited. Were you satisfied with this discussion? Not really. Okay. Okay, good. Were you leading the discussion? No. If you could just put on the mic, please.
Not really, no.
Okay. What was the discussion about?
Discussion was about how media portrays Muslims.
Okay. All right. What have you achieved?
More questions than answers, it
More
seems
questions.
like.
Okay, good. Okay. Did you fall into useless arguments? Sometimes people get into arguments, right?
Right.
So, fine, maybe if I were prolonged, you would have ended up in arguments, right?
Probably, yeah.
So, did you reach your objective?
Not really, no.
What was the objective?
The objective was to preach about the oneness of Allah and to give da'wah about it.
The objective is to understand that you have to submit your will to Allah. And Allah deserves worship. Because if you're not worshipping Allah, you're worshipping something other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's about submission. Yes?
Submission, yeah.
Good. I've seen brothers actually water down Islam. Yes? Completely change Islam. Okay? So sometimes they make up stuff in Islam just to show Islam in a good light. So I'm just showing you one example, there's many more. So how would we kind of tackle this? So let's go back the other way around. So you asked me the same question. All right? You asked me the same question. You say, hey, are you a Muslim? You're acting like John, who was not me, or not you, but someone who's coming out to ask. I'm at the MSA at Western. Let's do it.
Okay, hello, nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you, man. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. What's your name?
My name is John, what about you?
My name is Ali. How are you, man?
Nice to meet you. I'm good. What about you?
Good. How can I help?
I just want to ask, I always see on news and social media, it shows a lot of people who are doing terrorism acts, and in a lot of Muslim countries, I see a lot of people saying Allahu Akbar, I think it is, and they blow up people while doing this, and I'm kind of confused, is that what you guys also want to bring to our over here, or they say they're right, you're wrong, you guys, I'm hoping you guys are saying they're wrong and you're right. So who am I supposed to believe here?
Well, look, let me help you understand. I think you have a little bit of a misunderstanding of Islam. What we're saying, or the answer I want to share with you is, we believe that Islam is perfect, Muslims are not. So we can't judge Islam based on Muslim. What we do is we go back to the text and the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, and based on, we judge the Muslims. You understand what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to explain is that that's where we know what is right and wrong. Let me ask you a question, John. Do you believe in God?
Not really, no.
No? Okay. Do you believe that all of this came from nothing?
I guess I believe something, I just don't know which one.
Okay, good. Now, this something, do you believe is all powerful?
Yeah.
Okay, do you believe that has a will? Means if I make this leather pouch, the leather pouch has a certain color, temperature, depth, width. This didn't give rise to itself. Somebody made this, right?
Right.
So whoever made it must have wisdom, right?
Yeah.
Some knowledge.
I'd assume so, yeah.
The one who created the universe, whatever it is, must have knowledge and wisdom, right?
That would make sense, yeah.
So we believe that this being didn't come from nothing. He created everything, right? All of these things around us were made by this creator. He's the creator and we're the creation. Okay?
Okay.
And we call him in Arabic Allah.
Allah.
The word Allah means Al-Ilah, the deity that deserves worship. Does that make sense?
It makes a little bit more sense.
Okay,
yeah.
good. So I'm going to stop here because otherwise I'll continue going dawah. The point I was trying to make from here is this. This is what I was trying to make the point. Why does dawah fail? What did you see different in my conversation than his? Yes. Redirected the conversation back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, back to Tawheed. Yes? Okay. Yes, sister. You have any question? No? Okay. What else did you see? I'm taking control of the situation. Excellent. What else? I questioned his own belief. Excellent. Going back to foundation. That's the point. The point is, brothers, Jazakallah khair, bro, have a seat. Here's the point I'm trying to make. If you get on a plane and the pilot tells you to buckle up, do you buckle up? Or do you start doing moon dancing? Do you buckle up? Moon dancing. I would say all of you would buckle up, no? Why do you buckle up? Huh? Why do you buckle up? But sometimes the plane doesn't go down or nothing happens. Yes. It's common sense, okay? But what's common about, maybe you don't want to put a buckle up. Maybe like, forget this guy. Yes. Excellent. The pilot is an authority figure. He knows by his gadget, up there's some turbulence. And what's good for you is to buckle up because the plane might shake. It might even go down. So you don't have access to the pilot's knowledge, right? Now that's just a pilot. What about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Allah is all-knowing, all-wise, all-powerful. So what am I saying? When you go back to Tawheed, if we said don't forget this, it cuts down endless cycles of questioning. Answers do not satisfy the questioner. Opens doors to arguments. Gives the false idea of what is Islam. Islam is about submission to Allah. If you forget every single thing I said, please don't forget this. If you want dawah to be successful, go back to this. This is the most important thing. Okay? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this methodology. Sheikh Abdul Rahim Green, who's the founder of our organization, okay, he's one of the three. He used to go to Hyde Park and do these debates and arguments, and he'd get on the ladder and he would yell and scream, and mashallah, some people did accept Islam. I'm not saying no, there was no fruits out of it. However, one sheikh came up to him and he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm giving dawah." He goes, "Can I show you a better way?" He goes, "Yeah, sure." He said, "Look, call them to Allah. If they believe in Allah, explain to them who Allah is, why He's one, why He deserves worship, why the Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once they accept that, get them to understand that the Quran is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet is a prophet of God. If they understand that, alhamdulillah, you've done your job. You've done dawah, and then get them to accept Islam." In the beginning, Sheikh Abdul Rahim Green called this the systematic approach. Okay? Eventually, it took on an acronym. What is the acronym? This is right here. It's called GORAP. GORAP basically stands for G for God, O for oneness, R for revelation, and A for afterlife, or P for prophethood. When you're giving dawah, brothers, in your dawah, you have to discuss one of these things. If you're not discussing these things in your dawah, you're not giving dawah. If you're talking about the Uyghurs, or if you're talking about India, politics, Imran Khan, you're not giving dawah. You're not giving dawah. Dawah is to call people to Tawheed. Okay? Dawah is to explain why Allah deserves worship and He's one and He's uniquely one. Dawah is about explaining why the Quran is a book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dawah is explaining why Prophet is a prophet of God. This is dawah. Now, do you have to do it in this linear way? No. You can talk about, well, let's say with Christians, I talk about Prophet ﷺ. With Sikhs, maybe I talk about why the Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, with atheists, I might talk about why there's a creator. With maybe Hindus, I might talk about oneness. So it's not one shoe fits all. You have to just do it in this way. The idea is in every discussion, it should go back to one of these topics. And in IRA, one of the things we actually analyze in the dawah, when you're having a conversation, are you having a quality conversation? We actually measure this. Because for us, a quality conversation is when you're having these discussions. If you're just talking about the Uyghurs, or you're talking about, I don't know, hijab only or wudu, you haven't given da'wah. You've tried your best. May Allah accept it from you, but you haven't really given da'wah. So the point is, use it as a map rather than a rigid structure. Understand the concept, and that's what we're going to teach you. Understand the concept and not memorizing the word. Don't waste a lot of time trying to say how I say it. Don't waste so much time understanding how Dr. Zakir Naik did it. Some people spend more time learning how Dr. Zakir Naik says things, but actually understanding the concepts. Make it your own. Practice, practice, practice. Okay? So, there's two types of dawah. Active and passive. Active is when you reach out to them, and passive is when they come to you. Yes, Sheikh? 2 minutes? Yeah. Two types of dawah, right? 6 minutes of salah. Does anybody have to make wudu? If you have to make wudu, just go please now. Yeah? Because we only got 6 minutes. So, basically you take both of these conversations, active and passive, you bring it back to Tawheed. Bring it back to why the Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we're going to show you how to do this when we come back, inshallah. Okay? So, one hour? 1:45? Okay. All right, where are we having lunch? Here? Here? Okay. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to stop now. We're going to go for salah, inshallah. And then we're going to come back here exactly at what time, Khadija? 2:30? 45 minutes. 45 minutes, I'm going to put the timer here. Please, brothers and sisters, 45 minutes means 45 minutes. Yes, lunch included. Yeah. Yeah, after salah we go for lunch, inshallah. No, it's 45 minutes. You said 45 minutes? Yeah, I'm going to. Can you charge everything?
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا الله. استووا. أقيموا صفوفكم. استووا. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, my dear brothers and sisters. Today from 2 to 4 at Victoria Park will be a gathering asking and calling for justice for Sudan. So this is a special protest calling to stop the killing of innocent people in Darfur and many other areas in Sudan. As part of our Ummah are aching and we need to stand in solidarity with them. So I will encourage each and every one of us, inshallah, to be in there, inshallah, to give the support and to all stand for truth and raising our voice. Despite the result, it's very important that we're all together support each other. So inshallah, we'll be from 2 to 4 at Victoria Park. Jazakallah khairan. So how many times are we going to announce it? Okay. Just for you, inshallah. Thank you. He reminded me to remind you about the time change. We're going to be tomorrow. You don't have to change your watch. Most of them it's automatically change. Well, you know yourself. But it will be the ending of the daylight saving, where according to that, the prayer time will change. Fajr will be at 6:15, Dhuhr 1:10 to accommodate the Elias student, and Asr will be 3:15, Maghrib, as usual, 7 minutes after the sunset. And Isha will be at 7:45 to accommodate the Hifd program. So again, صلاة الفجر عند الساعة 6:15، العصر الظهر 1:10، العصر عند 3:15، والعشاء عند 7:45. تقبل الله صلاة الجميع. So starting from tomorrow. جزاك الله خير.